On April 9, 2012, Kevin Systrom posted a photograph to Instagram. It was a picture of a dog sitting next to a woman's foot. He had taken it in Mexico. It was one of approximately 100 million photographs that had been posted to Instagram since he and his co-founder Mike Krieger had launched the app 18 months earlier. He posted it from his phone, just as he had posted hundreds of photographs before it. Then he put the phone in his pocket and went to sign the paperwork that would sell his company to Facebook for $1 billion. He was 28 years old. He had just completed the most successful series, a round in the history of mobile applications. He had built the fastest growing social media platform anyone had ever seen. And he had just sold it to the man who would spend the next 6 years taking away, piece by piece, everything that had made it what it was. Kevin Systrom grew up in Holliston, Massachusetts, the son of a marketing executive and a human resources executive. He was the kind of kid who took things apart to see how they worked: radios, computers, cameras. He studied management science and engineering at Stanford, where he also took photography classes, and became genuinely passionate about the craft of visual storytelling. He interned at Odeo, the podcasting startup where Twitter had been born. He joined Google after graduating, working on products including Gmail and Google Reader. He left Google in 2009 to join a startup called Nextstop and to work on a project of his own. The project began as a location-sharing application called Burbn, named after his interest in American whiskey. Burbn allowed users to check into locations, make plans, post photographs, and earn points. It was trying to do too many things at once. Systrom had raised $500,000 in seed funding from venture capitalists, who included former executives from Twitter and Facebook. But the product was not finding its audience. In 2010, he and Mike Krieger, an engineer he had met at Stanford, sat down to analyze what users were actually doing with Burbn. The answer was clear. They were almost exclusively using the photo sharing feature. They stripped everything else away. They rebuilt the app around that single function, posting photographs with filters applied, following other users, a simple heart button for liking. They launched a new product, renamed Instagram, on October 6, 2010, for iPhone only. By the end of the first day, 25,000 people had downloaded it. Within a week, 100,000. Within 3 months, 1 million. Within a year, 10 million. The growth was unlike anything the mobile industry had seen. It was powered by something that most technology products at the time were not leveraging seriously: human aesthetics. Instagram was not a utility. It was not primarily about communication or information. It was about beauty, the instinct that every person carries to document and share the visual world as they experience it. The filters that Systrom and Krieger built into the app allowed ordinary phone cameras to produce photographs that looked like they had been shot with equipment worth thousands of dollars. The platform democratized visual artistry in a way that resonated immediately and viscerally with millions of people who had never thought of themselves as photographers. Mark Zuckerberg had been watching Instagram's growth carefully. In April 2012, he made his move. He flew to Systrom's apartment in San Francisco and made a personal pitch for an acquisition. Systrom had been in conversations with Twitter, which had offered approximately $500 million. Zuckerberg offered $1 billion in cash and stock. The offer was extraordinary. Instagram had 13 employees. It had never generated a single dollar of revenue. The $1 billion valuation was, at the time, the largest ever paid for a company with no revenue in the history of Silicon Valley. Systrom accepted. He later said the decision was difficult, but that he believed the combination of Instagram's creative vision with Facebook's infrastructure and resources could make something genuinely extraordinary. He had conditions. Instagram would operate independently. Its brand would be maintained. Its culture would be protected. Zuckerberg agreed. The acquisition closed in September 2012. Systrom and Krieger became Facebook employees while continuing to run Instagram as a separate entity within the larger company. For approximately 2 years, the arrangement worked reasonably well. Instagram continued to grow rapidly. Systrom had genuine operational autonomy. The brand remained distinct from Facebook. There was a period between 2012 and 2014 where it appeared possible that the acquisition would develop into a genuine partnership rather than an absorption. Then the pressures began. The first visible sign of what was coming arrived in 2014 when Facebook began testing the ability to cross-post Instagram content to Facebook. This was framed as a feature for users. From a business perspective, it was a mechanism for Facebook to capture the value that Instagram's growing user base was generating. Advertisers who had been following users to Instagram could now be retained within the Facebook ecosystem. Instagram's audience was increasingly Facebook's audience, with the revenue flowing to Facebook's advertising systems. Systrom and Krieger had less and less say over the commercial infrastructure that their platform was built on. The tension escalated year by year. When Instagram's engineering team wanted to build features that would allow the app to grow in directions that might compete with Facebook's core functionality, the requests went through a review process controlled by Facebook product leadership. Some were approved, many were not. When Instagram wanted to develop direct messaging features that would have made it a more complete communications platform, Facebook's team constrained the implementation in ways that kept Instagram from encroaching on WhatsApp's territory. Even though WhatsApp was also owned by Facebook, Instagram was being managed not as an independent product being built towards maximum potential, but as an asset being optimized to serve the interests of the larger Facebook ecosystem. Systrom was, by multiple accounts, increasingly aware of this dynamic and increasingly frustrated by his inability to change it. The data situation was particularly consequential. Facebook had access to Instagram's user data and used it to benefit Facebook's advertising targeting capabilities. This went in one direction. When Instagram's team wanted to use Facebook's data to improve Instagram's own products, the access was more restricted. The flow of value, data, engineering resources, commercial infrastructure moved predominantly from Instagram to Facebook, not equally between them. By 2018, the relationship between Systrom and Zuckerberg had deteriorated significantly. The immediate trigger for Final Break was a proposal from Facebook to integrate Instagram's data systems more deeply into Facebook's back-end infrastructure, a technical change that would have made it functionally impossible to ever separate the two platforms again. Systrom resisted. The proposal moved forward anyway. In September 2018, Systrom and Krieger submitted their resignations simultaneously. Their public statement said they were leaving to explore our curiosity and creativity again. The financial press covered it as an amicable departure. The reporting that followed over the subsequent months in Bloomberg, the New York Times, and The Information told a different story. Systrom had been systematically stripped of the autonomy he had been promised. The conditions he had negotiated in 2012 had been progressively eroded, and the product he had built, the one that had grown from a small team in San Francisco to more than 1 billion users worldwide, was now fully absorbed into the Facebook machine. In 2020, the Federal Trade Commission filed an antitrust lawsuit against Facebook, alleging that its acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp were illegal attempts to neutralize competitive threats. The complaint argued that Facebook had acquired Instagram specifically because it feared what Instagram might become if allowed to develop independently. As evidence, the FTC cited an email from Zuckerberg to a colleague written shortly before the Instagram acquisition, in which he discussed a competitive threat posed by mobile photo-sharing apps and the strategic value of buying rather than competing with them. The email used the word neutralize. The lawsuit is ongoing. Facebook, which has since rebranded as Meta, disputes the FTC's characterization. What is not disputed are the numbers. When Systrom sold Instagram in 2012, the company had no revenue and was valued at $1 billion. Today, Instagram generates approximately $30 to $40 billion in annual advertising revenue and is estimated to be worth somewhere between $100 and $150 billion. Systrom received approximately $400 million personally from the sale, a transformative amount of money by any measure, and a tiny fraction of what he created. Krieger received a similar amount. The 13 employees of Instagram at the time of the acquisition became, collectively, very wealthy. And Zuckerberg, who paid $1 billion for an unprofitable app with 13 employees, currently presides over an asset that generates more revenue annually than the entire GDP of many countries. The Eduardo Saverin story and the Kevin Systrom story are not the same. Saverin was a co-founder who was pushed out before the company created most of its value. Systrom sold voluntarily, received a fair market price at the time, and stayed for 6 years. The mechanism is different. The result is the same. The man who built the thing that created the value ended up with a small fraction of that value. Zuckerberg did not deceive Systrom in a way he arguably deceived Saverin. He simply built a structure in which the autonomy Systrom had been promised was worth less and less over time, until one day it was worth nothing at all. Whether that constitutes a betrayal depends on how precisely you read the terms of a verbal agreement made in someone's apartment in San Francisco in April of 2012. The courts will eventually tell us. In the meantime, Instagram is worth $100 billion, and Kevin Systrom has not been involved with it for 6 years. Subscribe to The Reckoning every Tuesday. The true story behind the acquisitions, the deals, and the handshakes that look like partnerships and turn into something else entirely. Subscribe, hit the bell, because the most dangerous contract is not the one with the predatory terms. It is the one where both parties genuinely believe they were building something together until they weren't.